You ever stop and think about how one single, kind of random day on the calendar could actually tell the whole story of a legend? I'm talking the triumphs, the tragedies, the public face, and the private man. Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to do, through the eyes of Elvis Presley and the surprising story of August 12th. I know, it sounds kind of impossible, right? But stick with me. We're about to dive into the life of the king of rock and roll, but we're only going to look at this one specific day, and you'll be amazed at what August 12th shows us about his incredible rise, his private struggles, and the legacy he left behind. You see, this one day is like a perfect snapshot of the two sides of Elvis. On one hand, you've got the deafening roar of thousands and thousands of fans, and on the other, you've got the quiet, private moments that really show you who he was. So let's kick things off with the icon on stage. All right, so we're starting with the icon, right? The performer, the Elvis everyone knows. And you're not going to believe this, but two of his biggest career highlights happened on this exact same date, just years apart. Just look at that number. Over 9,000. On August 12, 1956, that's how many screaming fans crammed into the Municipal Auditorium in New Orleans for not one but two sold-out shows. This was early Elvis, right at the beginning of his explosion onto the scene. And just think about what they were hearing. These weren't just songs, they were seismic cultural events. The energy in that place must have been absolutely electric. I mean, with hits like Heartbreak Hotel, Blue Suede Shoes, and Hound Dog, he was basically tearing up the rulebook on stage right in front of them. Okay, so let's jump forward 14 years. The date is August 12th, 1970. The day is the same, the success is the same, but the whole scene has changed. Elvis has totally reinvented himself. And now he is the undisputed king of Las Vegas. And on this particular night, the cameras were rolling. His dinner show and his midnight show were both being filmed for that legendary documentary, Elvis, That's the Way It Is. So this wasn't just another Vegas gig. This was Elvis being captured forever on film at what so many people call the absolute peak of his power as a live performer. Okay, let's just take a breath for a second. We're about to shift gears completely. We're going from the roar of the crowd to the quiet, really personal moments that show us the man behind the music. Because August 12th was also a day of huge personal meaning for Elvis. So on this very same day, you have two incredibly private events. One is a family crisis back in 1958 when he's a world away, and the other is a simple, quiet night in 1977, right before the end. The difference between this and his onstage persona is just, wow. Let's start in 1958. Elvis is arguably the most famous person on the planet, but he's also just a private in the U.S. Army stationed down in Texas. And it's on this day that he gets the worst possible news. His beloved mother, Gladys, is gravely ill back home in Memphis. This moment really shows you where his priorities were. I mean, think about it. The U.S. Army, this massive institution, at first actually denies his request for emergency leave. And for Elvis, that was just not an option. He basically told them he would go AWOL, just abandon his post, if they didn't let him go to his mother's side. So the Army gave in, and he rushed home. Now, fast forward to a much quieter August 12th, this time in 1977. This is just 4 days before he passed away. The global superstar is at home, at Graceland. He's not on stage. He's just unwinding. What was he doing? One of his favorite things. He rented out a local movie theater just for a private screening with his girlfriend and some friends. And the movie they watched that night was the new James Bond flick, The Spy Who Loved Me. It's such a normal, relatable thing to do, and it just shows you this completely different human side of the king. So, even after he was gone, the story of August 12th wasn't finished. The date was going to come full circle one more time and sort of lock in this legacy that contains all the highs and the lows we've just talked about. Decades go by, and on August 12th, 2015, his status as a permanent American icon was literally sealed with a stamp. The U.S. Postal Service chose this very day to release the Elvis Presley Forever stamp. And of course, where else could they do it? The big unveiling ceremony was held right there on the lawn at Graceland and was hosted by Priscilla Presley.
is such a fitting tribute, bringing his official legacy right back to his home and tying it once again to this one specific date.
So when you really step back and look at it all, the story is just remarkable. From those huge rock and roll triumphs to the really quiet moments with the people he loved, August 12th holds these incredible, unforgettable chapters of his life. The sold-out shows, the Vegas spectacle, a son's frantic love for his mother, a final movie night, and an eternal stamp. One day really can tell the whole story. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If one day, just one random day, can show us so many different layers of triumph and tragedy for someone as famous as Elvis, what other stories are hidden in plain sight? What don't we know about the icons we think we know so well? It's a great reminder that behind every single legend, there's a human story.